Alright, so now we're going to cover standard deviation, do a problem on standard deviation. So what is the standard deviation of a stock with the below annual return? So year 1, negative 20%, year 2, 50%, year 3, 30%, year 4, 10%. So there we have a series of returns, and we have what we're asking for as a standard deviation. Now, these are quite time-consuming to do by hand, but we can. So I'll just give you the formula. So if you are so inclined, you can do it by hand. So standard deviation is denoted by this. That is standard deviation equals the sum of the difference between the returns signified by xi, so that's a return, minus the average of all the returns squared divided by how many returns, divided by n. So what we have in this case is we have to follow a couple steps. First, we need to identify the returns. We're given those. So it's only returns, not prices. You have to convert prices into returns in order to calculate the standard deviation. So first, in this case, we were given our returns. So we have our xi as a return. Then we need to find the average. So xi is a return. This is an average. And n is the number of years. Alright, so yeah, this can take, just even a question with only 4 years can take, maybe 5 minutes to do. So we're going to show you how to do it on using the financial calculator, which, as you will see, is quite a bit more efficient. But you need to be careful, and you can only use the right data. Alright, so what is the standard deviation? So again, I could say this 10 million times, and there'll still be errors on an exam. You have to convert all prices to returns. Standard deviation can only be used with returns, not prices. So I'll say it again. Standard deviation can only be used with returns, not prices. If you calculate the standard deviation of prices, that is a junk statistic. It's meaningless. So we have to have returns. So in order to calculate the standard deviation of the returns, we're going to use a new button. It's called our data button. So we hit second and then the 7. So above the 7 there's a data. Alright, so x, we're gonna just use one variable. So we have our x variable. So our first observation, x1, is what? Is 20% negative. So negative 20, enter. Now for this case we're not going to use y variable, so just skip it. x2 is 50%, 50, enter, down, nothing in y. Observation 3, year 3 is 30%, enter, nothing for y. And year 4, 10%, enter. We have nothing for y. And then we want to do our second stat. So we have 4 observations, so we put in all the observations correctly. We have an average of 17, so x bar is the average of 1750, and our standard deviation in this case is 29.86. So we can do this the very long way. I prefer not to, but it's good to be able to do it the long way once. Maybe I'll do it in the near future. I'll put a video up of doing standard deviation the long way. It's a lot of calculations, but that's how you calculate the standard deviation of a series of returns using the financial calculator. So obviously that took us less than a minute to calculate the standard deviation. Using the formula, it probably takes about 5 minutes.